The Islanders do it again, another thrilling third period comeback win, this time over the Rangers by a 4-3 margin. We have our key takeaways, plus our weekly farm report on all things Bridgeport Islanders and a whole lot more, all coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Gil Martin, so glad you could join us today and be part of the Locked On Islanders family. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We have got a lot to get to. A thrilling win by the Islanders over the Rangers. It doesn't get too much better than that. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode of the show, feel free to send us an email. The email address, as always, is lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnIsles. And you can follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. And I am also live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis. And it's always great to communicate with fellow Islanders fans, whether it's during a game or any time. So please do contact me. And always great to chat about some Islanders hockey. Wow. What else can I say right now but wow? The Islanders do it again. After trailing 3-1 after 40 minutes, they come back with 3 third-period goals to beat the New York Rangers by a final score of 4-3. And a lot of good things happened in this game. But, a shaky start again. For the first half of the first period, the Islanders looked strong. But for the second half of the first period and all of the second period, the Islanders had some of the same problems we've seen before, where the speed of the Rangers and just too many turnovers by the Islanders in their own zone, too many foolish penalties. Oliver Wahlstrom took 1 in the second period. That was just a lazy penalty. Casey Cizikas took 2 penalties in this game after we praised him yesterday on the podcast about how important he is. And remember, Zeke is one of the Islanders' best penalty killers. So having him out of the lineup certainly didn't help. And the Rangers did score twice on the power play. But the Islanders also scored twice on the power play. And, we talked about Wahlstrom taking that lazy penalty. He took another one, or should have taken another one, on the game-winning goal, but it wasn't called, and Islander fans relieved that it wasn't called, and that allowed the Islanders' goal by Anders Lee with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock to stand. But bottom line, the good stuff. The Islanders get a goal 14 seconds into the third period. Adam Pelech with that goal, and that woke the Islanders up. They sort of fell off a little bit after the first 7 or 8 minutes of the period and only had the 1 shot on goal in that time period, even though they were carrying play. But then when they got back, another power play opportunity. Brock Nelson, off some nice passing, gets the goal, and then Anders Lee, the game winner with 5.5 minutes left, really, really getting the job done. Props to Semyon Varlamov. He continues to play well, and it's not easy to play well when you're out there every third game, which is roughly what Varley's been out there. Gave up 3 goals, but he faced 40 shots in this one and made 37 saves. 2 assists for Zach Parise. Solid game. Interesting now, Cal Clutterbuck, unavailable, did not play after the injury he sustained last night, or the night before, rather, against Calgary. So what do the Islanders do? They move Oliver Wahlstrom down to the fourth line, and they end up putting Nikita Soshnikov in the game, and he starts the game on the first line. Well, Soshnikov only played 8 minutes and 17 seconds in this one, but, you know, Wahlstrom on the fourth line, I like it only because he needed the wake-up call, but I don't know necessarily that he got it by the way he played in this game. By the way, strong game for Kyle Palmieri. He had the first goal and an assist, and that was great to see. And another nice game for Alexander Romanov, who had an assist, was a +1, and just, did a nice job of protecting his goaltender, clearing some of the Ranger forwards who were getting near the crease. I remember one particular play early on in the game, and I just, tweeted out, hey, nice play by Romanov. Overall, for the Islanders, this is not a sustainable model. You can't afford to be sluggish for long stretches of a game and then turn it on late, and yet at the same time, back-to-back come from behind third period wins. It shows this team doesn't quit. They're determined, they're dedicated, and they do have the ability to play really strong, solid hockey for large stretches. But again, it's not sustainable to be this inconsistent. And unless you get the consistency going, it's not something that they can afford to do all season. Third period, the last couple of nights, and a few times, maybe the Avalanche game also, third period shows what this team is capable of. Now they have to go out and deliver that kind of hockey consistently. And adjusting to the speed of other teams, the Islanders did a very good job of that in the third period here. Did a good job of it against Calgary in the third period, Colorado in the second and third periods. But they can't allow big stretches of a game to be where they're a step behind and taking lazy penalties where, because they're a step behind, the stick comes out, the gloves come out, you get the tripping call, the hooking call, the holding call. They can't afford to make those kind of mistakes. So there are still things that need to be cleaned up. No question about that. And yet, right now, who's in second place in the Metropolitan Division? Yeah, your New York Islanders, 18 points, 9-5 in 14 games to start this season. And if I told Islander fans on October 1st, hey, you guys are going to be 9-5, the team will be 9-5 after 14 games, I think every single fan in this fan base would have signed up for that. So another impressive come from behind win, but more work to be done for the New York Islanders in this game. But look, you're on the road against your biggest rival, a divisional game. You're facing one of the better goaltenders in the NHL, in the world right now, in Igor Shesterkin, and you come back with 3 third-period goals to earn the W. That's a good night for the New York Islanders, and this team really, really should be proud. We have got more to get to on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We have our weekly farm report. We'll talk all things Bridgeport Islanders, and a former Islanders captain and current NHL GM is our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at Athletic Greens. Our next partner has a product I literally use every day. I started taking AG1 because I'm not a great pill taker, and I wanted to find a supplement that didn't involve me taking 5, 6, 8 pills every day. So what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day off right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All these things. And it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything, while still tasting good. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day, and that's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thanks for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. Now make your second listen Game to Game NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every contest from across the National Hockey League with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Time now for our weekly farm report as we talk all things Bridgeport Islanders. And I'll tell you, not perfect, but the Bridgeport Islanders keep on playing good hockey. They split their 2 games this past weekend, but they were competitive in both of them. And this team is just looking pretty strong. First game of the weekend at home, a 5-3 win over the New York Rangers affiliate, the Hartford Wolfpack. That extended the team's unbeaten streak to 8 games, 7-0-1. Final score in this one, a 5-3 win. Arno Durando, 2 goals and a helper. Samuel Bolduc, a goal and an assist. And oh yes, Ruslan Ishkakov had 3 assists in this game, 29 saves for Jakub Skarek, as Bridgeport comes away with a 5-3 win and 2 power play goals in this one. They had at least a power play goal in 5 straight games and at least 2 power play goals for 3 straight. That is an impressive situation. Empty net goal for William Dufour. Always good to see him playing well. And Bridgeport ends up with the win. Now, the next night, the Islanders Farm Club, Bridgeport, plays the Providence Bruins, and they end up losing a tough 1-0 game last Sunday afternoon. 24 shots by the Bridgeport Islanders, but Brandon Bussey of the Bruins made 24 saves. Corey Schneider made 22 stops for the Islanders, but lost for the first time all game. The only goal of the game, coming with just 7 minutes, 54 seconds left in regulation time. Schneider was screened, not a lot he could do about it, but I'll tell you, a solid performance even in the 1-0 loss. 2 games coming up this weekend, both of them on the road for the Bridgeport Islanders. Friday, Veterans Day, they'll be in Hershey to take on the Hershey Bears. That's a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. And Saturday, again, also at 7 o'clock, the second of 2 consecutive games in Hershey against the Bears. That is always a good matchup. Meanwhile, Ruslan Ishkakov, he's the leading scorer on this team with 14 points, 10 assists, ties him for the team lead with Samuel Bolduc. And 14 points has him alone. He's +5, looking very, very solid. Meanwhile, Andy Andreoff has 6 goals to lead the team. He has 12 points. Bolduc, 2 goals, 12 points, so 10 assists there. And, William Dufour in 10 games, 4 goals. That puts him on pace for about 32 goals on the year. If you're interested in Atu Ratu, 5 points in 10 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. So again, some adjustments there. Simon Holmstrom, 3 goals, 4 points in 10 games. But it's interesting because it's Ishkakov who is really playing exceptionally well right now. And, he's really looking solid. Seth Helgeson, the captain of the Bridgeport Islanders, said he's a special player and he's special for us playing on that top line and that top power play unit. What he's doing is working, and he's only 22 years old. And, here's the thing. He's not a very big guy. He's 5'9", and, at 165 pounds, that may be his biggest obstacle to overcome, the perception that, he is a little too small to take the pounding of an 82-game NHL season. He says, I'm happy with the start this season, especially for the team. I'm just trying to get better every day. I see myself, I'm not a big guy, so I have to be quick and shifty. So far, so good on the quick and shifty situation. And let's see if he can keep it up. But he was named the Rookie of the Month for October in the American Hockey League. And that's a positive for the Islanders organization. We mentioned the scorers for Bridgeport. Here are the goaltenders. Corey Schneider, 5-1, as we mentioned, a 2.46 goals against average, 9.18 save percentage. Meanwhile, Jakub Skarek, a 3.80 goals against average. He's 2-1-1 on the year and an 8.85 save percentage. So Schneider, the better goalie early on in the season. Islanders obviously hoping Skarek can pick up his play and do a little bit more as the season goes on. But right now, 7-2-1 through the first 10 games, a really strong start for the Bridgeport Islanders, and you just have to be happy about the way this team has started the season. So the Bridgeport Islanders up and running, as they say, and hopefully they will continue. You look at the standings right now, Bridgeport in second place in the Atlantic Division with a 750 points percentage. Providence Bruins, the team that beat them in their second game this past weekend, the only team ahead of them, they are at an 818 points percentage, 8-1-2 in their first 11 games to the 7-2-1 record for Bridgeport. So a good start here for Bridgeport. We said before the season started that this team has the potential to be a lot better this year. And so far, so good. The Bridgeport Islanders have delivered. So we are happy without question about that start. Make sure you join us each week, almost always on a Wednesday, for our weekly farm report. Occasionally we move it, but we'll let you know. Keep you up to date on all the Islanders prospects at Bridgeport and how they're doing, so you can learn more about the Islanders prospects today. We have got more to get to on today's episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. A former Islanders captain who is now an NHL GM is our Islanders birthday of the day. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got that and a whole lot more still to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And today is the 52nd birthday of former Islanders winger and captain Bill Guerin. Guerin, originally drafted by the Devils with the 5th overall pick in the first round back in 1989. He had 2 good seasons at Boston College before joining the Devils, making his NHL debut during the 91-92 season. Had his first 20-goal campaign in 93-94. Later played for the Edmonton Oilers when he had a 30-goal year in 1998-99. Had a 41-goal campaign for the Bruins in 2001-2002. And then a 34-goal campaign for the Dallas Stars in 2003-2004. Played for the Blues and the Sharks before joining the Islanders for the 07-08 season. Had 23 goals and 44 points that year. And then 16 goals and 36 points in 61 games with the Islanders in 08-09 before being traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins and going on a long playoff run with them. 1,263 career NHL games for Bill Guerin, 429 goals, 856 points, and 1,660 penalty minutes. Went over 100 penalty minutes a lot during his career. Bill Guerin, not someone who shied away from the physicality of the game. Add 140 playoff games for Guerin, 39 goals, 74 points, and 162 penalty minutes added on. He was a two-time Stanley Cup winner and a one-time All-Star, and of course now active as a general manager in the National Hockey League, and that is very very interesting because he is such a good hockey mind, and I sort of like seeing that from Bill Guerin. He's the kind of guy who, even when he was playing here, you sort of knew that he could get the job done. And right now he is the GM of the Minnesota Wild, a team that is doing pretty well, all things considered, expected to be contenders again this year. We'll go back and look at one of Bill Guerin's better games as an Islander. October 18th, 2007. Islanders go down to Washington, D.C. to take on the Washington Capitals at the Verizon Center. And the goaltenders for this one, Rick DiPietro for the Isles, Olaf Kolzig for the Caps. Islanders get the only goal of the first period, Sean Bergenheim, his first from Miro Shatan and Joseph Vasicek at 15-17. Isles up 1-0. In the second period, the Islanders get a power play goal. Two players off. Victor Kozlov off for tripping. Olaf Kolzig, the goalie for the Caps, called for roughing. So the Islanders have a 5-on-3, and our Islanders' birthday of the day, Bill Guerin takes advantage. His first of the year, Chris Campoli and Brian Berard with the assist at 7:38. 2-0 Islanders after 40 minutes of play. In the third, Alexander Ovechkin makes it a 2-1 game. Joe Motzko with the only assist at 1:41. And then Thomas Fleischmann ties it, his first from Nicholas Backstrom and Brian Pothier at 6:14. The Islanders' lead is gone. It's a 2-2 game. But the Islanders' power play gets another chance. Chris Clark of Washington called for tripping, and Brian Berard gets his second from Chris Campoli and Miro Shatan at 9:39. That makes it 3-2 Isles. Then the power play strikes again. Milan Ursina of Washington called for hooking. Bill Guerin, our Islanders' birthday of the day, his second of the game, second of the year. Campoli and Berard with the assist at 14:08. That made it 4-2 Isles, and then Guerin completes the hat trick at 18:26 of the third. Mike Comrie and Chris Campoli with the assists. Islanders win this one 5-2. 27 saves for Rick DiPietro. Islanders outshot 29-21 in this one. Bill Guerin, 3 goals on 4 shots. He was a +1. 2 of his 3 goals coming on the power play. And the Islanders get the win 5-2. That was the only hat trick that Bill Guerin had as an Islander. He had 10 hat tricks during his NHL career during the regular season. So happy birthday to Bill Guerin, now the GM of the Minnesota Wild, formerly an Islanders captain, and formerly an Islanders captain, and just a very solid NHL goal scorer over the course of his career. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen. Now for your next listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. It's got the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. I am thrilled with the way the Islanders played the last 2 games. Not because I think it's great to fall behind early. Lane Lambert's got to figure out a way for this team to start games playing better. But I love the determination. I love the never say die attitude. And I love the fact that this team doesn't get discouraged or panic when it falls behind. And I think if they can improve their play, especially in first periods of games, the fact that they're banking points now and making these comebacks, if and when they have that shaky start to a game later on in the season, they'll have that little, hey, we've done this before, we can do it again feeling in the back of their minds. And I think that will benefit this team later in the season and in the playoffs if they face similar situations, and of course, obviously they have to get to the playoffs. But look, 9-5 through 14 games. You got to appreciate that. And the New York Islanders off to a very solid start under Lane Lambert here in the 2022-23 NHL season. Tomorrow, we will have a full preview of the Islanders' home game against the Arizona Coyotes. Next couple of games for the Islanders, by the way, against some teams that are struggling right now. Home games against Arizona and Columbus. Road game in Ottawa. That's three teams that are kind of having difficulties right now. So let's see if the Islanders can pick up some points and get a little jump here and extend this positive swing where they have now put together wins in 7 of their last 8 games. That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Have a great day. Savor this, folks. A come-from-behind road win against the Rangers. Doesn't get too much better than this during the regular season. Have a great day. Stay safe. And, of course, let's go Islanders.